You caught your reflection in a shop window and didn't recognize the angle of your own face for a second. That's not your face changing. That's your hair doing something to it. One of these 5 mistakes is quietly adding 4 to 6 years to how you read in every room you walk into, and you've probably had it since your 30s. Today I'm breaking down the hairstyles that are aging mature women without them ever knowing it, and exactly what to grow into instead. By the end you'll know which one is yours. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50, so you get real results, fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The straight, blunt bob that's too severe. You asked for low maintenance. You got a blunt line that ends exactly at your jaw, exactly straight across, and it's been quietly working against you ever since. Here's the thing nobody tells you about a hard blunt cut after 50. It draws a flat horizontal line right where your face needs movement most. Your jawline shifts a little as we age, softens a little, and a perfectly straight blunt edge sits right on top of that change and exaggerates it. It pulls the eye sideways and down instead of up toward your eyes and cheekbones. That's not a hairstyle problem. That's 4 to 6 years added in one straight line. And it's secretly one of the most requested cuts in the chair, because it photographs clean and it's easy to explain to a stylist. Just blunt, just straight, just simple. Simple isn't always kind to your face shape once skin starts to soften. So why does almost every stylist still hand this cut to women over 50 without blinking? Because it's the easiest cut to execute and the easiest one to maintain on a schedule. Nobody's being careless. They're just optimizing for upkeep instead of for what's actually flattering at this stage of your face. Here's what changes everything. Soft fractured ends instead of one clean line. Ask for point cutting or texturizing shears at the perimeter. It breaks that hard horizontal edge into something that moves, even at the exact same length you already have. Fix 2. A slight angle, even just half an inch longer in the front than the back. That tiny diagonal does something a straight line never can. It pulls the eye upward along a soft slope instead of stopping it dead at your jaw. Fix 3, and this one's underrated. Face framing pieces left slightly longer than the rest. Even 2 inches makes a difference. They soften the transition between your hair and your jawline instead of letting the two collide in one hard edge. Fix 4. Ask your colorist for a few lowlights right along that perimeter line specifically. A subtle shadow root or dimension right where the blunt edge sits breaks up the visual shelf, effect a single flat color creates at that length. One small shift in how the ends are cut, and the whole face reads differently. That's it. That's the whole secret. Let's get specific with before and after, because vague advice doesn't help you in the chair. Before, one straight blunt line, same length all the way around, cut with regular shears. After, the same length, but cut with point cutting shears at the ends and a half-inch forward angle from back to front. Same haircut, completely different read. Second swap, before, solid flat, single process color with no movement. After, 2 to 3 subtle lowlights woven through just the bottom 2 inches, nowhere else. You're not asking for a whole color change. You're asking for 3 ribbons of depth exactly where the cut needs softening. Third swap, before. Hair worn perfectly smooth and flat against the jaw every single day. After, a slight bend at the ends, even from a 1-inch barrel curling iron just at the bottom third. That bend is doing more work for your face than people realize. Upkeep tip. Every 6 to 8 weeks, ask your stylist to refresh the point cutting. Not just trim the length. The texture grows out and softens on its own. And a lot of women keep the length fresh while letting the texture go flat again without realizing that's the part doing the actual work. You'd think the fix for a severe cut would be growing it out completely. It's not. And the next mistake is the exact opposite problem. Too much length doing the wrong thing entirely. Part 2. Overlong. Flat extended length and the wrong shade all over color. Long hair past your shoulders isn't the enemy. Long hair with zero shape, zero movement, hanging in one flat sheet. That's what's quietly dragging your whole face down. You've probably been told long hair is youthful, and kept it long for exactly that reason. But length without structure does the opposite of what you're hoping for. Past a certain point, weight pulls everything downward. Your face, your features, the whole visual line of you. And gravity isn't kind once skin has started to soften. Flat extended length doesn't read as youthful anymore. It reads as tired. Here's the part that surprises most women. It's not the length itself doing the damage. It's the absence of layering at that length. Two women can have the exact same 18 inches of hair. One looks lifted and current. The other looks like she stopped making decisions about her hair sometime in 2009. The difference is entirely in where the weight sits. Fix 1. Long layers starting at the cheekbone, not at the shoulder. This is the single biggest shift you can make without cutting real length off. Starting the layering up near your cheekbones lifts weight away from your jaw and lets movement happen right where your face needs the most lift. Fix 2. Face framing pieces cut a few inches shorter than the rest, landing right around the chin. This creates a soft frame around the part of your face that's actually changing with age, instead of letting one solid mass of hair hang past it untouched. Fix 3. And this is the one most women skip. Regular movement through the mid-lengths, not just the ends. A lot of long layer cuts only layer the bottom few inches and leave everything above completely solid. That's still flat hair, just with slightly thinner ends. Ask specifically for layers that start higher. What nobody mentions is that flat extended length often isn't really about the cut at all. It's about product weighing everything down further. Heavy conditioners and serums applied root to tip add even more pull to hair that's already fighting gravity. Lighten what you're using on the top half completely, and save the richer product for the ends only. Before and after specifically. Before, 18 inches of hair, one solid length, layered only in the bottom 2 inches. After, the same 18 inches but layered starting at cheekbone height, with face framing pieces cut to chin length. You haven't lost a single inch of the length you love. You've just redistributed where the weight sits. Second swap, before. Heavy rich conditioner applied from root to tip every wash. After, lightweight conditioner on the top half, richer product reserved for the bottom 4 inches only. Same hair, noticeably more lift, with literally zero scissors involved. Now the second mistake hiding in this same part, and it's just as common. The wrong shade all over color. Specifically going too dark, too uniform, all at once the moment the first grays show up. This one's secretly driven by panic more than style. The first few grays appear, and the instinct is to cover everything immediately with one solid, often darker than your natural shade. But a flat, uniform dark color sits on mature skin completely differently than it did at 30. Skin tone shifts subtly as we age, usually cooler, sometimes more translucent, and a solid dark color with no variation creates a hard, almost mask-like contrast against that softer skin. It's not aging you because dark hair is bad. It's aging you because it's flat. The real reason colorists keep recommending dimension over solid color for women over 50 isn't trend chasing. It's that dimension does the same lifting work as good layering. It creates the illusion of movement and light even when your hair is sitting perfectly still. Fix 1 for this. Ask for baby lights, or soft face framing highlights 2 to 3 shades lighter than your base, concentrated near your hairline and temples specifically, where light naturally hits your face first. Fix 2. A shadow root technique instead of solid coverage. This blends your natural gray at the root into a slightly deeper tone, then lightens gradually toward the ends. It looks intentional instead of like regrowth you're racing to hide. Fix 3. Ask your colorist to skip a fully opaque single process formula and use a glaze or gloss layered over partial highlights instead. It's softer, it's less commitment, and it photographs with actual depth instead of one flat block of tone. Before and after on this one. Before, solid, opaque, single process dark color applied uniformly root to tip. After, a shadow root blending into soft face framing baby lights, with a clear gloss for shine. Same general dark hair decision. Completely different result on camera and in person. Upkeep tip for both of these. Book a gloss refresh between full color appointments, roughly every 4 weeks. It maintains the shine and the subtle dimension without committing to a full reprocess every single time. And it's the detail most women skip because nobody explains why it matters. What nobody tells you is that the next mistake is the one almost every woman makes with the absolute best intentions. And it has nothing to do with length or color at all. Part 3. The safe short crop with no shape and over-teased volume at the crown. You went short because you were told it's easier. Then somewhere along the way, easier turned into shapeless, And shapeless turned into a haircut doing absolutely nothing for your face. This is the one almost every woman walks into with good intentions. Shorter hair after 50 genuinely can be one of the most flattering choices there is, but only with real shape behind it. A short crop with no defined layering, no texture, no purpose to the cut, just reads as I gave up. Even on a woman who absolutely did not give up. That's the tragedy of this particular mistake. The intention is smart. The execution is what's quietly aging her. What changes everything here is realizing short hair needs more shaping decisions, not fewer. Long hair can hide a flat cut under its own weight and movement. Short hair has nowhere to hide. Every angle, every layer, every missing detail shows immediately. Fix 1. Ask specifically for graduated layers at the crown, not just a uniform short length all over. Graduation builds height exactly where your face needs lift, instead of laying hair flat against your scalp. Fix 2. Texture at the tips using a razor or point cutting technique. Never blunt shears on short hair. Blunt cut short hair looks helmet-like almost instantly. Textured tips move, even at 1.5 inches long. Fix 3. A slightly longer top with shorter sides, even on the most classic crops. That contrast in length creates the illusion of more hair and more dimension than a uniform short length ever can. Before and after, specifically. Before, a uniform short crop, same length everywhere, cut with regular shears, no graduation. After, graduated layering through the crown, textured tips throughout, with the top kept slightly longer than the sides. Same short commitment. Completely different presence. Now the 5th and final mistake, and honestly, this one might be the most common thing in this entire video. Over-teasing volume at the crown to compensate for thinning. You've noticed some thinning at the crown. Totally normal, happens to most women eventually, nothing wrong with you. But the instinct to fix it is almost always teasing, backcombing at the root for height, every single morning, sometimes with a heavy hold spray locked over the top. And here's the real reason that backfires. Repeated teasing breaks the hair shaft at exactly the spot you're trying to make look fuller. You're thinning the area more while trying to hide that it's thin. It's a quiet, slow-motion trap. Most women never connect those two things, the teasing routine and the thinning getting worse, because the damage happens gradually, over months, not overnight. Fix 1. Root lifting mousse applied only at the root, blow-dried with a round brush lifting straight up and away from the scalp, instead of any backcombing at all. You get the same height without a single bit of mechanical breakage. Fix 2. A strategic, soft layer cut specifically at the crown, about 2 to 3 inches shorter than the surrounding hair. Shorter hair at the crown stands up more naturally on its own, with zero teasing required. Fix 3. Switch to a volumizing powder or dry shampoo applied directly at the root, worked in with fingertips rather than a brush. It adds grip and lift mechanically instead of relying on damage to create texture. Fix 4. And this one's the quiet game changer. Sleep on a silk or satin pillowcase. Cotton pulls and roughs up the hair shaft overnight, especially right at the crown where you're already vulnerable. Silk lets hair glide instead of catching, which protects exactly the area you're trying to protect during the day. Before and after. Before, daily root teasing with a fine-tooth comb and heavy hold spray locking it in place. After, root lifting mousse, round brush blow drying, and a crown layer cut 2 to 3 inches shorter than the rest. Same goal, height and fullness at the crown. One method breaks hair. The other builds the illusion without touching the hair shaft at all. Upkeep tip. Every time you wash, work the volumizing product in while hair is still damp, not after it's already dry. Damp application distributes evenly through the root instead of sitting on top in one spot. So here's where that leaves you. 5 specific mistakes, 5 specific fixes, and probably at least one of them landed a little too close to home. But knowing the mistakes is only half of it. What ties all 5 of these together is one underlying approach that almost nobody talks about, and it's coming up next. Part 4. The one shift that fixes all 5 at once. Here's something I noticed in a salon last week that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. A woman in the chair next to me, stunning bone structure, perfect posture, easily in her late 60s, kept telling her stylist to just clean it up. That's it. That's all she asked for. And she walked out with the exact same shapeless cut she walked in with, just an inch shorter. She didn't know what she was actually asking for, and her stylist didn't push back because clean it up sounds like a complete instruction even when it isn't. That's the real thread connecting every single mistake in this video. It's not about length or color or volume specifically. It's about going into the chair without a specific, named request and getting a generic, safe, clean it up result instead of a cut and color that's actually built for your face right now, today at this age. So here's the shift, and it's smaller than you'd think. Before your next appointment, name 3 things out loud to your stylist, specifically where you want the weight removed, where you want lift added, and 1 celebrity or reference photo showing the kind of movement you actually want, not just the length. Clean it up gives a stylist nothing to aim at. Remove weight at the jaw, add lift at the crown, soften the perimeter, gives them an actual target. Most women never do this because it feels presumptuous, like you're overstepping into the stylist's expertise. You're not. You're handing them better information, the same way you describe symptoms specifically to a doctor instead of just saying, "I don't feel good." Specific input gets specific results. That's true everywhere. And it's especially true in a 45-minute appointment where guessing wastes both of you time. The other half of this shift happens between appointments, not just in the chair. Every one of the 5 fixes we covered today, the texturizing, the layering, the shadow root, the graduated crown, the root lift routine, only holds if you maintain it on a real schedule, not whenever you happen to remember. Put a 6 to 8 week reminder in your phone right now, today, before you forget. That single habit does more for how you look than any single product ever will. Before and after, one last time, on the whole approach. Before, vague requests, inconsistent timing between appointments, hoping the stylist reads your mind. After, 3 specific instructions, a reference photo, and a fixed maintenance schedule you actually keep. Same hair. Same stylist even. Completely different outcome, every single time you sit in that chair. Upkeep tip to close on. Keep 1 photo of your best hair era saved in your phone, whatever year that was for you, and bring it to every single appointment as your baseline reference point. It keeps you and your stylist working toward the same specific picture, instead of drifting a little further off target each visit. You came into this video with a question you couldn't quite name, and now you've got 5 specific answers and the 1 habit that makes all 5 of them stick. That's not a small thing. That's months, maybe years of guessing solved in 1 sitting. You just learned the 5 hairstyle mistakes quietly aging mature women, and the 1 specific habit that fixes every single one of them at once. Boom. Your bone structure was always this stunning. The right cut just finally lets it show. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 mistakes is the one you've been making without knowing it? Next time, I'm breaking down the exact words to say in the salon chair to get the cut you actually want, every single time. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.